I'm Nigel Poulton, and I'm still recording from my in-laws' spare room or office. And you know what? I had to double check that this artwork here wasn't rude, and it is totally not. Anyway, look, down to business. I have used the HPE Ezmeral platform, and I've spun up some infrastructure, built a machine learning cluster, and I've sent Don a link to his Jupyter Notebook. Now, look, I'm effectively an infrastructure grunt, a site admin or somebody, which is what I love, right? Don't get me wrong. And I have no idea what a Jupyter Notebook is. So Don, show me something useful to do with this.
Yeah, so thank you. Great intro for that. And that's the whole point, is we want our customers to be able to solve problems in self-service, really. So self-service here is, what's a Jupyter Notebook? So as Nigel said, I maximize that pretty quick. He gave me this, essentially, what we call a service endpoint, which is a fancy word for a public URL that the Ezmeral container platform is securely presenting, so that my data scientist can just log into Jupyter Hub, which is a cluster, a Kubernetes cluster running in the platform that Nigel spun up for me. And it's also connected to a training engine cluster that Nigel also spun up for me. So I'm here in my web browser, and this is how, this is one way that a data scientist does a daily job. When you say, hey, build me a model, what the heck does that mean? Well, it all comes down to code. And this is an integrated development environment that's very popular with data scientists who have to write code, but it's not as complicated as something like a Visual Studio. It's essentially a place to do code and connect to your data sources, to your training engine, maybe your GPU, large cluster to do something really big. You can even run Jupyter Notebook on a very small laptop if you want, but this is an example of an enterprise class type of problem where you may need lots and lots of servers running in that cluster. So as I go through my Jupyter Notebook, we also have these things called magics that allow us to directly connect to our training engine cluster. So I don't really need to know the details of how the cluster is running. I just see that I have a Python machine learning engine running on my training cluster if I just run this command. So I'm directly connected. Here's my project repo that Nigel made sure was up and running in the tenant he created, the Kubernetes namespace. So I have access to my code. I can look at my directory, all within my, my workspace here. I see I've got my source data that I can train my model on, and I've got a scoring script for when I deploy it. So I have everything right here, and I can just kind of go through, okay, my environment's ready to go. I'm going to do my data science stuff. So now I go in here and I get the libraries I need. I'm connecting up to my repo in this cell here, and this is going to send everything to my training engine instance. So it's a one-stop shop from the data scientist perspective to go in, read the data, manipulate the data. And then here's the, the all-important, we're using XGBoost. This could be a TensorFlow, or it depends on the type of work you're doing. We're trying to predict taxi rides from a large database. So we kick off this regressor script, and ultimately we create a model. And what is a model? Well, it turns out it's just a file, xgb.pickle.dat, and we just save it to that same project repo that is set up by Nigel. And we can watch it happen with this command that gives us live logs, and it says, hey, I'm doing a bunch of nerd stuff, and I trained my data, and I split the data, and I created this and a square error, and then, okay, I'm saving the model. So that's creating a model. Haha, it's not magic.
You know what? It's so cool, though, because, like, if I had any guns, I'd be, like, pumping them right now, because as an infrastructure geek that knows nothing about data science, knows nothing about Jupyter Notebooks or anything, in fact, knew nothing about HPE Ezmeral before I came into the conversation that we've had, and I've spun up the infrastructure, I've been able to spin up a notebook to hand over to a data scientist to actually do some real work on. And it was so easy. Like, it's difficult for me, right? Because it's exciting, but it's not, if you know what I mean. It's exciting because it's making Kubernetes boring.
Yes, that's the goal, right? Is to make it so it's a technology you can use. When you boot up your laptop, you don't care about the 10 billion hours that went into making the screen pop up, right? You just want to do your work.
Yeah. And I think, and I've talked about this a lot in 2020, that for enterprises to adopt technologies like Kubernetes, they almost need to just run in the background and have higher level tools that are easy to use. so that people can come and almost just pick off a shelf. I'll have a Jupyter Notebook. Boom, we're in business. So I really enjoyed that. I very much appreciate your time, Don.
Thank you.
Have you got any closing comments?
My closing comments is, try it out. So we'll give you links to this online demo that pretty much shows you how to do everything. I'm well, not the Jupyter Notebook so much, but how to get to the point that you can do a Jupyter Notebook, right? Without any infrastructure yourself, because it's an interactive demo, just to help do like what Nigel did, so you can kind of demystify what it is and make Kubernetes easy and give you all the enterprise data you need and protect it and all the stuff that HPE has been doing for decades.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. So we'll include the links in the show notes and down below if you're watching on YouTube. So thanks again for your time, Don. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Nigel. It was fun.
Yep, making Kubernetes less scary. Love it. Ciao.